Hi Year 11. This video is designed to help you with adaptations and specifically helping you understand the adaptations that organisms are going to be having in their habitat that are going to enable them to survive and to thrive. Now, when we describe the term adaptation, what we're describing are the features that an organism has that it can pass on to the next generation. Those features have to give it an advantage. They have to help it. They have to help it survive in its habitat, and potentially, therefore, reproduce and pass its characteristics on to the next generation. And those adaptations are the consequence of an environment. They will be developed in response to biotic and abiotic factors, living and non-living factors that are distinctive to that particular environment. And the organisms that are best adapted to that environment, the ones that have features that are very well suited to that space, are the most likely to survive and to thrive in that space and to pass their genes on through reproduction to the next generation. Now, when we talk about adaptation, broadly it can be put into three distinct types. Structural adaptations. These refer to morphological or physical features that are part of the organism's structure. So the example that you've got on the table there would be the pincers on a crab, or the shape of a beak on a bird, or the bright coloration that it might have. Now, all of those adaptations, be it the paddle grab's pincers, be it the shape of a beak, they will have an advantage. And that advantage will be allowing it to thrive in its environment. You need to understand the reason, the benefit that that adaptation will have. And that is true not just for structural adaptations, but for functional ones or behavioral ones. When we describe a functional adaptation, that's a process or a product. So the example that's used here is that paddle crabs increase in size by molting. An example might be in a bird species that it will shed particular feathers at certain times of the year. In addition to that, you'd have behavioral adaptations, and those will refer to specific actions that a organism will have. So the example here is your paddle crab burying themselves to avoid sand, to avoid predators. The example that you could apply to a New Zealand bush, and in particular to bird species in the New Zealand bush, would be associations around staying near particular plants as food sources, or a sedentary response to a predator, not moving, which is very common in many New Zealand bird species, simply because they've evolved in an environment where their main predator would have been another bird species. And the response to that would have been, if you're faced with a predator who can track you via motion, your response is to stand very, very still. Unfortunately, that behavioral adaptation is not ideally suited when you are dealing with a mammal predator, because a mammal predator, like a rat or a stoat, will hunt by smell, and therefore your action of standing perfectly still is a great way to get yourself killed. Anyway, those are your main types of adaptation. Make sure you understand what each of the three are and be able to apply them particularly to pest species and to bird species.